G'day. Express2002@gmail.com. Fish Magnet Man, James Wilson. Just a little bit about something that I've got planned coming up. As you guys probably know, I have got Aboriginal origin. My grandmother was a full-blood Aboriginal from out far west on the edge of the desert in New South Wales. Coonabarabran's the place. So yeah, I may have fair skin, but I'm not all white. I was raised by my aunt, who was Australian. She was part Aboriginal, obviously, just like my mum. And my dad was German descent. So yeah, I've got Irish from mum, and Aboriginal from mum, and from my dad, German. So bit of a mixed bag, or the Aussie bastard, as they used to call us. So yeah, I've seen racism, and I got raised by my aunt, as I said, and my uncle. My uncle and aunt, I call mum and dad. Well, dad was a full-blood Aboriginal, and I never got raised with colour, so I didn't know what colour was. But dad, his name was Athel Dixon. Excuse me. He sure knew what prejudice was. He battled his whole life, and mum, God bless her, she helped him with tech and all that stuff. She helped him get educated. They were very young when they got married, and yeah, he was lucky enough to have her. So yeah, he ended up an excellent welder, an A-grade welder. He's a teacher now in TAFE, so he's very good at his trade, and he was working for the Australian Navy for many years, repairing the torpedo tubes on submarines and things like that. So places where fractions of a hundredth of a mil were pretty well vital, otherwise you get explosions in the subs and stuff. So he was top of the game. And if you go past Garden Island in Sydney, you will see a massive crane that was capable of lifting a ship, big grey crane, on one of the wharves. That was Dad's. I used to go to the open days as a young fella, and I was pretty proud Dad ran that. And he was a black fella. So how's that, guys? Yeah, an Aboriginal that had a bit of standing in the day. He always wore collared shirts and trousers, so don't think they all got around in rags, because it's all bullshit. He was a non-drinker. He never drank at all, folks. Never smoked and never drank. So don't think they're all alcoholics either, or no hopers, as you just found out. All my uncles were all well respected in different jobs. One of my uncles, Dad's brother, he worked for Johnson & Johnson as one of the big managers for many years. My other uncle, he was a soldier. He went to Vietnam, served the country, come back with plenty of medals. He had a heart of gold and a heart of steel, apparently. A very tough man in the bush. And my other uncle, well, where was he working? Can't remember offhand, to be honest with you. Where was he working? Telstra, Telecom. That's where he ended up working. He was working for Telecom for quite a few years, like 20 years at Telecom. So yeah, they all had respectable jobs. All wore collared shirts and trousers. Their mum, my grandmother, the one I got raised with as a grandmother, she spoke full-blooded Aboriginal to them, and they really understood it. When she said something, they jumped. So they were very, very proud men, and very well respected, and very well educated, all of them. And they were very good to their mums and dads. So don't think all Kooris are bad news. Well, there's a lot you got to know about the history of Aboriginal men in Australia. Now, when Captain Cook got here in 1788, first thing they'd done when they got off the little dinghy, well, Arthur Phillip gets off Sydney Cove, goes for a wander around, shoves a flag in the ground and declares the place for England. Well, he had no bloody right to declare Australia for himself with a flag from England. He was told specifically by the government in England at the time he was not to do that unless he got permission off the locals. Well, he decided to call the place Terra Nullis, which means Terra Nullis meant back then, it was Latin, for a land without anybody, empty land. Terra Nullis, null, empty, void. So that's how he got around that, and he did end up classing the Aboriginal as an animal. And that's another way he got around writing any treaties. So the white man was a piece of shit. I can't put it any other way, you know. And because I had black blood, and Dad was Aboriginal, I never knew. Like growing up, I never knew colour. Well, he got called a mongrel bastard by the whites, and and I was called a mongrel bred bastard because I had white skin, and here I am calling Dad Dad. Well, it didn't matter to me because my grandma was Aboriginal anyway. Little did they know. So inside, mate, it doesn't matter. My blood runs Koori. 50,000 years of heritage here. You can't take it away. You can't take the spirit. You might have tried to break the people by taking their kids away, but believe me, you never broke the spirit of the man. You never will. We're connected to the land, and no matter how many white men come here or what they do to dominate, they'll never have that connection with the land. That's 100%. They can't get that connection. You leave Australia, it calls you back. I found that out when I went to New Zealand for 4 years. It really does call you back. It's pretty special to have that connection to the land. And yeah, it broke me being away for that long. You know, I never thought I'd care about the place. All I wanted to do was come home by the 4th year. I just wanted to get back home to the land I touched, and everything was okay. So the land is our mother. Excuse me. I found that out personally. And yeah, there's a lot you've got to know, guys. I bet you didn't know that they got shot out. They were given disease like smallpox. They were giving it to them on purpose. They gave it to the Kooris on purpose. Mate, they didn't have even a resistance to the common flu. They had no resistance to chickenpox. They never had any of these filthy diseases that white men had through Europe for 1,000 years. So they had no resistance to any diseases whatsoever. So it wiped all of them out just about. Like Botany Bay, there was a couple of thousand people there in the tribes, and by the time Captain Cook had finished throwing his bloody anchor out Botany Bay, declaring Australia and whatever, and then they brought the first settlers in. That's what, the first fleet in. I should have said to you. That's what Mr. Phillips was about. I was bringing in the first fleet, convicts and stuff. I've got a bit mixed up there, guys. It really frustrates me talking about this shit, so you can understand. But there'll be no mistakes made in the video that I'm going to be making and all about everything. Anyway, yeah, Captain Cook, he was a bit of an arsehole, but he was a much better man than that Arthur Phillip, you know. He would have done what he was told. If he would have brought the criminals in at the first fleet, he would have turned around and not declared Australia as his own when he's seen how many people were there. So I can't blame James Cook. He ended up getting killed up in the islands anyway. So, like, irony. So yeah, he got his. Australia's pretty putrid the way the white men took over and settled it. I can tell you now. Any other country, they done a treaty, like in New Zealand where I stayed for 4 years. The Maoris ended up with a treaty, and it was called the Treaty of Waitangi. The Treaty of Waitangi gave the Maoris some political power, gave them some land, gave them some standing there. They had political power, and they were recognised as human beings. Well, guess what, folks? The Australian Aboriginal is the only man, when it's come to things like that, anywhere on the planet, that's been treated and marked down as an animal and never got to write a treaty. Don't write a treaty, you don't have to give them any compensation. Only compensation they ever got was sorry. And mate, kudos to that Prime Minister that we had not long ago that actually said it. I'm not going to mention his name because he cops enough grief now over it, but he was the only one that ever had balls to stand up and say sorry to the Aboriginal people. And he done nothing wrong, you know, like that guy done nothing wrong. And the sad thing is, like on both sides, the Aboriginals rave on and run down, oh, the white dog this, white dog that. The whites that done all this are gone. They're gone. They're dead and long bloody gone. Some of the draconian laws we had back then, they're still in place. How's that for a bloody joke? Cattle stealing. It's still in the law books that you'll be hung for stealing cattle. People don't know that. Little is known about the laws that still stand here in Australia. Some of them are bloody pathetic. Locking a black man up, they're known to go bonkers. Like, blackfellas are attached to the land. You lock a blackfellow in jail, yeah, especially the ones that are from the bush, the full-on blackfellas that are attached to the land. You take them out of the bush and put them in jail, they'll hang themselves. They cannot handle it. There should be a special place for them guys. I'm not talking about the ones raised in the city, right? Some of the ones raised in the city, they get big heads, think they're gangsters, run around, start selling a bit of drugs, make a few dollars, big note. They deserve the jail that they end up getting sucked in. You know, I'm talking about the proud black man that lives a native way in the middle of nowhere and gets in trouble for doing something stupid like drinking beer in a reserve where they're told they're not allowed to drink. How's that for a joke? Would you like someone to control your money on payday and tell you what you can eat, what you can buy, and what you're allowed to drink? I bet you bloody wouldn't. Well, in Australia, this is still going on today, folks. People being told how they're going to live, what they're going to do, what their kids are going to do. If they go pushing buttons up there, they end up getting their children taken. Docs have got a bad habit of doing it. Even in my family, I'll go more into that later on. There's a court case coming up, and yeah, they're still taking kids today, mate. Stolen generation ain't over, I can assure you guys. They use every excuse in the book to still take children away today, especially the ones that have got fair skin. You know, they try and get away from their parents. Always any excuse to get them away as well, guys. It's pretty putrid. Tell you another thing you probably don't know too, guys. Now, a few of the Aboriginals' kids were taken off them in a few different places. When I start making the video, that's going to be fully edited. It's going to be out. It'll be out within the next month or so, maybe 2 months the most. It's because it's a pretty complicated project. But yeah, they actually stuck the babies in the ground with their heads showing, and they all had competitions to see who could kick the heads off the babies the furthest. I'm talking about live babies, folks. Kicking their heads off while their parents are standing there watching. What a proud race these white guys must be, the big brave bastards, eh? If I was back in them days, I can assure you now, I would have been a bush ranger just like Ned Kelly, because I would have been running with the mob, and I'm telling you, I would have been popping up and taking them out eye for an eye. I wouldn't have been able to hurt a child like those mongrels did, but I can tell you now, any person that lifted a hand towards a child would be getting slow death from me. I would have shot him in the feet and then crawl around and bleed out. Simple as that, you know. I would have had no pity, just like he had no pity for the black fella. I would have had no pity for him. So, like, I just wish I was back there, because it was, man, I can't say it. It was wrong, right? I love to say plenty of stuff here, but then I'll get it all banned on the internet, whatever. But yeah, it was bloody wrong, right? Many other things they done, like I said, they brought the diseases. If they wanted your land, if they knew it didn't matter if they knew it had cultural significance, like a meeting place, a place of worship, a place where the elders went and had their meetings, a place where women done their secret business, a place where they made tools, places where they were initiated. They didn't give a shit. If that land was prime land for cattle, they'd just take it, and they'd grab the abos, round them up, throw them into what we call the mission. The mission was run by a so-called man of the Lord, a man of the cloth, and yeah, they get tossed on a mission, just like I told you about the creamy-coloured kids. They got thrown on missions too, and they were like, oh, what were they like? They were like boys' homes and girls' homes. They had boys and girls separated, but yeah, they were like that, and they got treated like shit. They got told what they could speak, so there was no more of the Aboriginal language. They were making sure they lost all of their cultural ties. They had to go. That was white man's way. And they tried to assimilate them into the white man's world. They didn't get asked, folks. They just got told. So yeah, this is what's going to be coming up in the story that I do tell. And the one good thing about this, folks, I'm 52 years old. I was born in 1965. And prejudice and racism and black taps, white taps, black swimming pools, white swimming pools, shops where blacks could eat, and shops where they could go and buy things, and hotels where Aboriginal was allowed, and some places where you had to go in the back bloody door. I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Right? I've seen how they treated my family, and I've seen how they treated others. So I can see the disheartening and disdain and aggravation and anger in a lot of guys, especially the older ones, you know. They get a bit of drink in them and they snap. Well, the way to do it, folks, is not drink and get them back, these bastards, with the pen. The pen is mightier than the sword, and good character and education, they hate it. They hate it. If a black man's got education and of good character and moral standing in the community, they hate that. They hate that with a vengeance. And this is the way forward, Koori people. This is the way forward. So that's what the video is going to be about, and it's going to open the eyes of many white men. I'll tell you now, half them guys out there that are prejudiced against a black man, they're going to turn around and shake a white man's hand after they watch the video I make. It's James Wilson Express 2002 at gmail.com. Drop me a line, drop me an email. If you've got any old photos, things like that, do you reckon I might be able to use in this video clip that's coming up? Please send them, because it's going to go for about an hour, so I need quite a bit of data. I've got a lot, but I need more. I've got plenty to say, and yeah, I'm going to break a few hearts. You know, this is going to make people cry. Anyone with a heart will cry, even a man. They're going to cry when they see what I've got to say. So talk soon, guys, and the video will be out soon. It's going to be called "Mongrel Bread Bastard" by James Wilson. Cheers.